We'll begin the show with issues from Parliament, starting off with the new majority leader in Parliament saying he will use the experience he has acquired over the years and the rapport with the minority to unite the House and ensure that members' welfare is taken care of. He spoke to parliamentary correspondent Emmanuel Ante.
Some experience in that position and that role. I know that this is a different parliament, and majority of the members are first-timers, and therefore I need to learn with the current, learn from the current executive. I need to open my eyes. I need to give a listening ear to my colleagues, and I need to try and look at the dynamics of the current parliament, and maybe now prepare myself properly to lead. And so I recognize the fact that it's not a leadership of an individual, it's team leadership, and therefore I have to lean on my colleagues in the leadership and then try as much as possible to build a kind of cordial relationship with the members of parliament. I believe with that they will be forthcoming with information and support for us to succeed.
Now, the majority leader of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, also says parliamentarians need to work hard to earn the respect of the people they represent in the House. He's concerned about the seeming lack of rules governing activities in the House, which he noted has also become a concern to some members of Parliament. Addressing the House at an emergency sitting Wednesday, the Doli Khalil, Member of Parliament in the Upper West region, hinted that members of Parliament will soon be compelled to conform to a code of conduct in the discharge of their duties. Alban Bagbin wants the MPs to give meaning to the title honourable, and he's hopeful the adoption of a code of conduct to be placed before the House will regulate activities and conduct of members. I want to talk about this over the next few minutes. I'm joined over the telephone to have this conversation by two gentlemen. There's David Akpeyi, Executive Director for the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. David, you're welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you so much, Sereni.
There's also Dr. Alidu Seidu. Dr. Alidu Seidu is a political scientist from the University of Ghana. You're welcome, Doc. Doc.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time here on News Desk.
Thank you too for the opportunity.
Dave, I'm going to start with you. Did Alban Bagbin observe right that indeed the attitudes of members of Parliament seem to be deteriorating?
I think that we first of all need to commend Honorable Alban Bagbin for his appointment as majority leader in Parliament. He is one of the key people that you could say that he has an institutional memory as far as our parliamentary democracy is concerned. You know, as far back in 1996 that, you know, he assumed the position as a parliamentarian. I think that he has demonstrated clearly and creditably that he has the knowledge as far as parliamentary issues are concerned. After all this, he has been a substantive minister, you know, of health, and then works and housing and all that. So he has played a critical role as far as our democracy is concerned. And so it's quite good that now, again, he has been nominated as the leader of Parliament. And I think that he has every credential. He has a very good rapport with the minority, and especially the minority leader, Honorable J. Mensah Bonsu, is his best friend. And so I think that he will be able to, you know, prove a point at the Parliament as to how best they can unite more and prosecute the agenda of common pioneers.
He has mentioned about the fact that it seems as though attitudes of members within the House are deteriorating. Is that a right observation?
Yes, I think that it is right observation. You know, like I said, he has proven creditably that he can do the job. But, you know, if you look at Ghanaian Parliament as we speak now, it's so, you know, porous that when issues are put before Parliament, the issue just divided between MPP, NDC, all over. And at the end of the day, the context of any memorandum put before Parliament, we don't get the correct aspects of it.
All right, David, David, I'm going to have you
matter.
hold the line now. Let's have Dr. Saidu be part of the conversation at this point. Dr. Saidu, I'm going to ask you the same question. Did Albert Bagbin observe right when he said it seemed as though the House lacks rules for governing activities within it?
Yeah, to some extent, I agree with him that some activities of Parliament needs regulation. But the question is he the right person to do it? I agree very much with my colleague that Honorable Bagbin is very experienced. He has been in the House of Parliament, I think, since 1993, and he's very experienced. And two, he's a bipartisan person. He has networked with both the majority and the minority, and he proves at times that he looks at issues beyond the partisan lane. But having said that, he's called that the activities of Parliament regulation is something I dispute to some extent. I don't think it's just regulations, code of conduct, but it's enforcement. If you pick the 1992 Constitution, Chapter 24, the whole Chapter 24 of the 1992 Constitution talks about code of conduct for public officers. If you move beyond Chapter 24 of the 1992 Constitution, the President last year, or is it this year, launched code of conduct for public officers.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
I'm saying absolutely.
Yes. Launched the President, I don't know whether it was this year or early last year, launched a book called Code of Conduct for Public Officers. If you go to Parliament, Parliament has what is called standing orders, and a committee called the Standing Orders Committee. Standing orders give directions to the day-to-day how businesses are conducted. There's a procedure of how businesses are conducted in the House of Parliament. So if we have all these laws, the Constitution, presidential policy documents, and even standing orders of the House of Legislature, and we still need another code of conduct to regulate the members of Parliament, then it suggests that the problem is not the lack of code of conduct or regulation, but it has to do with the enforcement. So I will rather, Mr. Bagbin says that he's going to take initiatives using bipartisan approach to ensure that code of conduct that are already in existence are enforced, rather than saying that we need a new one, because the new one will just add up to the whole number of documents that we have that seek to regulate.
Whose job is it to enforce those ones that exist already?
Yeah, I know, for example, maybe the code of conduct, the standing orders is enforced by maybe members of the Standing Orders Committee and also maybe the Speaker of Parliament and those who are concerned. But with the provision of the 1992 Constitution, that the 24 can be enforced by and even Ghanaians alike. We are all defenders of the Constitution. We can seek that if MPs behave in ways that contradicts the provisions of the Constitution, maybe we can they may have immunity, but as time goes by, we can expose it and then see what can be done. And the Presidential Code of Conduct was launched by the President, and the executive arm of government, in collaboration with the executive and the judiciary, can enforce it. And even we citizens are vanguards of the Constitution. The media and every individual here believe that these people who are there represent the interests of we the people. So if they act in ways that breaches the contract that exists between we and them, we have the right to expose it.
I see.
So I believe that it's not only the members of Parliament or the government, but it is also the responsibility of we the citizens and the civil society.
I see, Dr. Saidu, I'm going to have you hold on at this point. David?
Yes, Kevin, I'm with you. I do much agree to a large extent with what the comment expressed by Dr. Saidu, that when you take the Article 24, it actually, states categorically the responsibilities of the MP, what they need to do and all that. And when you go to Parliament, they have their own, this thing there that they use. But however, you still realize that there are a lot of things which need to be done to actually improve the code of conduct of the parliamentarian, as has been chronicled by our 1992 Constitution, it is always about trying to improve on the existing, laws and legislation. So I think that just like somebody, have written a book about political science, and Dr. Sedu will look at it and improve upon it. So if the existing ones are not quite adequate, and somebody is saying that when he comes, this is what he's going to do to improve on it, I think that it is good. We are all sharing knowledge, and we need to contribute to knowledge.
But
so
when
it is good that the president has also initiated that.
Improving on something is only as good as how it is used. If we are only going to spend good resource, including time, on improving something that will not be implemented, what good is that?
You see, it is good to an extent that, once upon a time, Abraham Robin was alleged to have said that there is so much, division in parliament, and so most of the parliamentarians are so corrupt. And so if he has alleged to that extent that he has been able to identify some of the attitudes that has necessitated to allege to the fact that some of them are, corrupt, now he needs to prove a point by demonstrating, by putting certain measures and certain systems that will be able to curtail some of those corruptions that, has engulfed Parliament House. So let's see those things that he is bringing, whether it is going to re-engineer to ensure that those things will be done so that Ghanaians will actually benefit from our parliamentary system.
I see.
Now, but as it is now, our parliamentarians are not serving as is supposed to be done. Because when any bill is put before Parliament, they are sharply divided. When recently you see all kinds of things that were done within about 2 weeks. They were able to approve almost about four contracts of oil contracts, and many people have expressed comments about that.
I see.
But that issue, they
David.
Doing certain things untoward in the country.
I see.
So they need to be careful, and
right.
we need to put in systems and measures that will be able to curtail all those corruptible attitudes.
I see. So, Dr. Saidu, should we necessarily, or shouldn't we have members of parliament who can sit up on their own without necessarily having to crack the whip at them?
Without necessarily having to
crack the whip at them?
Yeah. Seriously speaking, I believe that I don't think all members of parliament don't abide by the standing orders of parliament, or even the provisions of Chapter 24 of the 1992 Constitution, or even the Code of Conduct that was launched by the President for public officers. Some do it to the best of their ability. Others don't do at all. And sometimes the fact that you are elected to that position of trust shows some level of confidence that has been reposed by you, by the people who voted you into power. So it behoves on you as a public official to live in ways that do not enhance the collective interest and defend the provisions of the Constitution, but to also encourage the young ones who look up to you as a role model. So under that circumstance, they don't have to be pushed. But under the circumstance that they are just human beings like any one of us, and they are susceptible to making mistakes and also even forgetting, there should be the need to make sure that enforcement mechanisms are applied strictly. If we are able to apply enforcement mechanisms strictly, and the deviant ones can be punished, if we take that measure, then we'll see that people will be behaving according to the ways that they are supposed to behave. If we are not able to do that, enforce what we already have, then we add more to it, then we are just increasing the burden that will stand on us to enforce what we're going to have. It's going to be a lot. And we continue coming out with code of conduct. If we don't implement them, they are nothing. They are meaningless until we implement them.
Okay. Now let's look at this issue as to how this should be done if indeed the House decides that it wants to adopt a new code of conduct for its members. How should we go about this, or how should the House go about this, such that at the end of the day, the minority in the House will not say that the regulations that have come, that the same house has come up with. I mean, because of the voting patterns we have in our house, the majority against the minority will not come out to say that it is meant to cow them as far as activities of the house are concerned. How should we go about this?
Yeah, I think an issue like this will need a bipartisan approach. The Honorable Alban Bagbin cannot impose code of conduct on MP, and the legislature has committees that deal with issues of this nature. So, for example, maybe the Standing Orders Committee look at the procedure, brings out the general rules that governs the procedure and the general conduct of the House and these various committees. So I think maybe, I'm not sure whether that will be the right place to start, but no matter where you're going to start, an initiative like that should be bipartisan. It should involve all members of parliament, irrespective of their political divide, in coming out with something like that. And I believe that the Honorable Alban Bagbin, as I've mentioned, is a bipartisan person. He has a lot of experience and a lot of networks. And such a thing requires a backdoor negotiation. Besides the fact that you're going to adopt a bipartisan approach, you also have to personally contact people who matter in parliament, seek their opinion. And those same people will also have to refer, because most of the members stand on the ticket of political parties. They have to confer with members of their party and then get an input from members of their party. But if it is before they agree or disagree to some of the stipulations that will come out from such a meeting. But I still believe that if it is something that is geared towards enhancing governance and orderliness in the House of Parliament, then I think both houses side of the divide will happily accept it if the procedure is consultative, negotiative, and then allows room for participation. Other than that, it's going to be very difficult.
Dr. Saidu, many thanks for your time once again. David?
Yes.
What will be your take on that?
I think that our parliament and our governance system is the total reflection of our Ghanaian society. You know, if parliamentarians or ministers are not serving as a good example for us, so you could see the repercussion on a larger society. And so I sincerely believe that what Honorable Agwangwaven is saying, for me, I do agree with him. Most of the parliamentarians, they are all his students. He has been able to nurture a lot of them. And so he has that followers, he has that network to be able to coach some of them and propound certain things that will ensure that they'll be able to do certain things that will actually, think well with our larger society. So I'm expecting him to demonstrate those characteristics so that all of us will be able to learn certain things. They have various committees in Parliament, and those are where all the corruption go up to goes on there. The various committees. That is where many people, especially the foreign organizations, they come and influence all those committees. And so a bill could be put before Parliament today. When they put some dollars on it, before you realize it is put, imposed on us, whether it's quite inimical or not, they will, because of monetary value associated with it, they will just pass it. And so they need to be careful, and they need to do everything in such a way that Ghanaians will actually respect them. But as it is now, I don't think that we respect them as they are working as parliamentarians. And so they need to bring in certain ethical values and certain ethical conduct so that Ghanaians will actually, see that they are role models. If not,
I see. David,
sorry for them.
David, I'm glad you could join us here. Thank you very much for your time. David Agbe is Executive Director for the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. Earlier, I had a conversation with Dr. Alidu Saidu. He's a political scientist at the University of Ghana.